Hello everyone, I'm Nydya and the claim I will be responding to is, as more women go to college, the more the working industry will be run by women, and the stay-at-home dad will become more common. So what this claim basically is saying is that as women go to college, there will be more stay-at-home dads and the work industry will be run by women. In my speech, I will establish why the advocate's claim is incorrect by first attacking the evidence and then attacking the reasoning. First, I would like to focus my attention to the first statistic presented in the advocate's secondary claim: women are becoming more educated. This claim argues that women are graduating high school at a higher rate than males, with a statistic from the study conducted by the Manhattan Institute of Policy Research called Leaving Boys Behind. The advocate included the statistic which claims that 72% of female students graduated high school compared to only 65% of male students. By contrast, the same study included a statement by the National Governors Association, also known as NGA, that stated, "Unfortunately, the quality of state high school graduation and dropout data is such that most states cannot accurately account for their students as they progress through high school." The study used the sample data from the U.S. Department of Education's Common Core data, also known as CCD. The CCD establishes standards and procedures for states to collect and report enrollment and diploma data. If the states do not meet those standards or follow those procedures, their data are not reported. So because the data used excludes states that do not meet those standards and procedures, we cannot get an accurate representation of male and female graduation rates due to the inadequate sample of data. Second, the advocate makes a hasty generalization when she claims that as women go to college, there will be more stay-at-home dads, when in reality, there are many other factors that contribute to the rise of male primary caregivers. The recession has caused massive job losses in male-dominated professions. University of Chicago economist Casey Mulligan reveals that men have lost more than 3 million jobs in the construction and manufacturing alone. Job losses in tough economic times have forced some fathers into becoming the primary caregivers in their family. In the article, Tough Economy Produces More Stay-at-Home Dads, Chris Smith, a father of 4, was obligated to be the primary caregiver after he was laid off from his job. Differences in parents' work schedules can account for the rise of stay-at-home dads as well. Fathers who work odd-hour shifts may be subject to being the primary caregiver, while mothers have a typical 9-to-5 work schedule. Another contributing factor could be the ability to work from home. Libby Gill, author of Stay-at-Home Dads, The Essential Guide to Creating a New Family, reveals that the growth of telecommunicating has enabled many men to work from home while still being able to care for their children. Another factor that contributes to the rise of stay-at-home dads is that some fathers become the primary caregivers while going back to school to further their education. Another very important factor is the fairly new growing trend of fathers wanting to spend more quality time with their family and establish fulfilling relationships with their children. A survey released in 2007 by Minnesota's Department of Family and Children's Services shows that men consider child care to be far more important than a handsome paycheck. Out of 600 dads surveyed, a majority said that their most important role was to show love and affection to their kids, while financial care finished last. So as you can see, there are several different factors that contribute to the rise of stay-at-home fathers. When the advocate stated that as more women go to college, there would be more stay-at-home fathers, she committed a fallacy in reasoning, and more specifically a hasty generalization.
All right, that claim that the advocate presented is kind of long and convoluted, but you summarized it pretty well, and you kind of explain your position on the 2 points. The first point is basically that we can't trust the evidence that is the premise of that first point, and you kind of get to that at the end of that argument, and this is something I was talking about before. You've got good criticisms of the research data, reasons why there could be inaccurate numbers, so on and so forth, but you want to start off with a claim. Why am I listening to all this information? How is it going to be relevant? It'll be a lot clearer if you start with that claim rather than ending with the claim and telling us after I've processed the information what it all means. This way it's a little bit, if you do it the other direction, it's easy to figure out why all that information is going to be relevant. On the second point, there doesn't seem to be a direct argument about any of the advocates' claims on this point. Instead, you've got 4 or 5 counterclaims, alternate causality justifications for why there might be more stay-at-home dads, none of which seem to be related to the notion that it's women going to college and men not going to college, but rather it's all something else. And I thought that you had good evidence on each of those points. I do think you want to engage the advocate's evidence a little bit more, but in talking about the reasoning, your position is pretty clear, and you know, given the counterclaims, that's okay also. One of the things that might be helpful is if we could contrast it to the argument that the advocate presented a little bit more, then your counterclaims might be easy, you know, it might be easier for us to account for the differences because of all the claims that you have. Remembering what the advocate said, it's not that easy for us to do a couple weeks later, and so it might be a good idea to review some of that as part of the argument too. All right, thank you.